let's talk about picking a niche and building your own positioning strategy. So the first thing you want to be clear is that there's two types of specialization. There's a vertical focus, and this is the most common one we think of, which is industry. I only do veterinarians. I only do dentists. I only do plumbers. That's a industry focus. But you can also, within that vertical, you can pick multiple things, or you can even choose not to even do an industry. You're not stuck having to pick an industry. You could do multiple industries, and then maybe focus on a size. So businesses under $10 million in sales, businesses with more than 10 employees, that sort of thing. Then we have entity types. So some people focus on nonprofits. Some people focus on partnerships. Some people focus on S corps. Some people focus on self-employed individuals, right? Like not corporate individuals. Some people focus on partnership composition. I met an accountant. He retired now, but he was he had a fantastic niche. And his vertical focus was businesses that were partnerships, S corps, partnerships, or C corps, doesn't matter which one. But the partnership composition had to be a 50-50 non-household partnership. So 50-50 spouses wouldn't be the type of client that they do. And a father and son type of business in which the son lives in the same house, they wouldn't do. And I asked him, Mike, why that? And Mike said, look, I used to be an arbiter. I forget what the exact word is. He used to be one of those people that were certified by the court to come in as a third party to help negotiate, right? To help two parties that were disagreeing, help them come up to a middle point of disagreement. And he says the value I bring on top of tax returns and bookkeeping, all that, is that I am a perfect person to help these, businesses owned by two siblings or by two best friends or by two cousins or by two people that used to work with each other and now start a business, whatever it is. I help them break these disagreements, these stalemates of 50-50. So again, your vertical focus could be any of these things. I'm just giving you an example and getting you out of the mindset that a niche is only a industry. Is not the case. And most people misconstrued specialization and niche with vertical only. It's not vertical only. It's not industry only. So there's also the horizontal focus. This is when you focus on the type of problem. So solving bank reconciliation issues, solving inventory issues, right? Fixing trust account issues for lawyers. That is a horizontal focus. You, instead of focusing on the type of client, you focus on the type of work. Okay. Now, for that, you need to have a specialized, unique skill set, which is your most valuable expertise that you bring to the table that is unique to you and your firm. And the hyper specialized practice will find a vertex between the two. They'll actually combine the two things. So I'll tell you what mine is so you have a general idea. I work with manufacturers under $25 million in sales that use QuickBooks Enterprise, and my specialty is fixing, setting up, and managing inventory. That's my vertex. I picked my vertex, right? Company size, industry, and type of issue that I fix, which is inventory. And that has allowed me to spend less money marketing and spraying, right? They call it spray and pray, spraying my marketing message through a whole bunch of people and just focus on those people and those people only, right? So some examples, a vertical focus could be dentist or better, orthodontist, right? And when you go one step deeper in the vertical, you use the terminology that they use. So dentists, between them, they don't call each other dentists. They call each other orthodontist, periodontist, whatever the other dentist is, okay? So they call each other by their specialty. Doctors are really, really good at this. They usually don't say, hey, doctor this, doctor that. They specifically say what their specialty is because that defines them. So when you not just target an industry, you want to look at what they call themselves and the sub-industry that they could belong to. Horizontal focus could be real-time bookkeeping and cash flow management, not cleanup work, but real-time bookkeeping and cash flow management, actually giving people tools to manage their cash flow. So a vertex could be orthodontists looking to improve their cash flow with real-time accounting information. So that's kind of like you start seeing how it's not that complicated to construct a very easy to communicate positioning statement that sounds and makes you sound like an authority on that narrow target market. So the concept target and niche kind of comes in several times. People tend to kind of mix them and confuse them. So the best way, in my opinion, to separate them is a target market is what you call the customers you're looking for. That's your target. A target market is what you call the customers you are looking for. But a niche market is what these potential clients consider to be their identity, what they call themselves. So dentist is a target market, orthodontist is a niche. Does that make sense? Right? And you don't have to go with niche. I would recommend niche over target market, but you got to have at least a broad target market, in my opinion. Okay. Now, when you are targeting a specific target market, most of the time you either have a strong vertical position or a strong horizontal position. Typically not both. So when you pick one strong vertical, one strong horizontal, you come up with a target market really easily. But when you pick both the vertex, the horizontal, and the positioning, it will be much easier for you to come up with a specific niche market. Now, the other thing that I tell you about as a strategy is if you are a target market type of firm, you'll be focusing your marketing efforts to reach that target customer. However, if you are a niche practice, you are typically going to be part of a community. Maybe you even create the community, Facebook group, YouTube channel, blog, conferences, get together, meetups, virtual Zooms, whatever building a community sounds to you. But a niche market accountant or any professional that focuses on a niche market as a strategy, they're the ones in the forefront of that community, giving away the information, helping people of that community, and usually customers will come to you. Okay, that's a really important piece. Okay, so someone in focusing on a target market like dentists, they'll be running Facebook ads targeting dentists, right? But someone in a niche market, they'll be maybe creating a Facebook group called, and this is just an example, I don't even know if this exists, the Sellable Dental Practice, actively helping dentists that are specifically looking to succeed their business. They're trying to sell it or they're trying to pass it down to someone else. The other thing I want you to kind of think about is maybe you can have a flexible strategy, right? I think a lot of people fear like jumping into this right away because they don't want to maybe give away some of the potential clients. Just think of just have a flexible strategy. So what you can do is you can have your target market or your target niche and have a secondary one, which I call the complementing one. So you can do two strategies. One is have a complementing niche, the one that's in a tangential or adjacent target market that has similar risk, and I'll discuss what similar risk means. Or you can have a pivot or target niche that sits at the opposite spectrum of risk. Okay, so we'll discuss that in a second. That will make sense for you because there are environmental factors that can affect an entire industry. Perfect example is restaurants, right? What happened to restaurants during the pandemic? They completely went down. Accountants that were hurting with that were focusing on restaurants started hurting really quick because restaurants had to stop paying for those accounting services. So a pivoting, and we'll have a slide on that. A pivoting one could be supermarket. So shift from restaurants to supermarket, right? So an example, real estate and construction are complementing target market. Restaurants and retail are complementing target market. Any environmental factor that affects one probably affects the other. Now, it expands the type of clients that you get to by having that complementing target market. But the problem is if there is an issue, like the pandemic is a great example, they both kind of come down together. Notice real estate and construction jumped up in the pandemic. Restaurants and retail went down together. Okay. So for the accounting profession, you can think of, outsourced bookkeeping and tax planning. Those two things are very tangential. They're essentially the same thing, right? So when people want tax planning, they probably want outsourced bookkeeping as well. So that's complementing niche or complementing horizontal. Now, what's a pivot target? So we got real estate versus debt consolidators, right? So when real estate starts going down, when people start defaulting, when people are getting kicked out of their houses, there's a crisis or some sort of crash on the real estate market, debt consolidators jump up. So that's a perfect example. And then we said earlier, restaurants versus supermarkets. On the specific task that accountants could do, tax preparation and tax collection typically are, or especially representation and negotiation, those are odds because typically we prepare taxes for our healthy clients and then we do IRS tax representation for our clients not so healthy. Again, they are pivoting niches, okay? Or outsource bookkeeping versus QuickBooks training. When the client doesn't want to do the work, they outsource it. When they don't want to outsource it, they want to do the work, so you're in the training business. So these are examples of how strategically you can build this and prepare yourself for these, sort of unexpected things that could happen. Now, let's talk about some multi-industry horizontals. For example, I'm a sales tax specialist. So if you become a sales tax specialist, you might serve multiple industries and you don't have to get stuck in a particular industry. That's what you choose. You choose that horizontal, that specialty by itself. Or inventory specialist. Now, inventory does limit the amount of industries because there's only a few group of industries that manage inventory, but that's an example of a horizontal. Mine, by the way, I'm an inventory specialist myself. Custom reporting specialist, one that only builds custom reports that QuickBooks or Xero or whatever accounting system cannot produce, and you have special tools, a special skill set to build very custom reports. Payroll specialist, again, payroll could go across the board. Payroll for restaurants is different than payroll for everything else because you got tip issues. So that's a good example of maybe you can even be a restaurant payroll specialist and really, really have a vertex there. Being a compensation expert, an HR specialist, being a CRM to QuickBooks or whatever accounting system integration specialist. These are great examples of multi-industry horizontals. So this is the exercise I'm going to give you, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to think, like if you don't have a niche or specialty yet, and you want to think of, okay, how do I come up with this, Hector? How do I figure out what is the target market I should be looking for? You want to think of these three groups of clients that you've had in the past. First group is, what clients have you worked with in the past, are you working with now, in which you have areas of expertise in, either by repetition or with a past life, with a past job, with past experience. Like this gentleman that used to be our arbitrator, whatever it's called, brought that into practice. I worked for a retail store and I did a lot of inventory work in that retail store, and that kind of inspired me to become an inventory expert. It's an example, okay? So you want to think of that group and you want to list them out. Then you want to think about from those clients or what clients have you worked with in which their problems are very easy to identify, very common, right? As we mentioned, construction companies, contractors, their issues is not getting bids out on time. Manufacturers, their issue is variability in cost of goods sold and work in process and inventory asset, multiple units of measure, right? So you got to figure out which of these clients that you would like to work with, which ones have identifiable and expensive problems. And then you want to list out kind of the customers you like to work with that share your values, whether it's some personal value, whether it's some business value, whatever it is, just list them all out. And you think of these as the how, what, and the why. And then once you kind of like identify, which are the group in this how category, which are the group in this what category, which are the group in this why category, then you lay them all out. You can use post-it notes, put them on a wall somewhere, figure out where the interjection is so you can narrow down to maybe 2 or 3 contenders for that desired who is my target client. So I think that's just a really good exercise for you to do by yourself, with a team, with a teammate, with an employee, with another fellow accountant. So how do you think about picking an ideal niche? Number one, the services need to be easy to sell for you. So for you, it needs to become easy to sell. Don't pick a niche in which you don't know how to sell that service. Okay. And the customer is relatively easy to work. Close. Two, did you enjoy working with? I mean, that needs to be table stakes. You got to enjoy doing that type of work. Three, the work is relatively easy for you to do. Again, we're laying out all the potential clients that could be our target niche market clients, and we're going to narrow them down based on all these points. Also, which are the type of clients that allow you to work in your zone of genius, right? The type of clients that enable that part in your brain that really, really allow you to work brilliantly, because everybody likes to feel that their work is brilliant, and it's only going to be if you're working for the type of clients that allow you to do it. Okay. Also, stuff that you cannot get bored with. One of the huge cons against specialization, one of the things that people don't like about specializing is that they get bored because they're doing the same type of work. Well, don't pick the one that will bore you. Okay. And over time, maybe you do get bored, but doing it faster, doing it better, and charging the same amount or more might not bore you. Maybe higher profits for your firm could be how you contend that boredom, right? So it's up to you really on kind of the way you work. It all goes back to your purpose and how you like to work with your clients. Obviously, pick one of customers that pay on time or ahead of time, or the type of industry that would do that for the type of work that you're doing. Also, customers that refer you to customers just like them. So go back to your customers and say, look at all your referrals and figure out which are the referrals, the type of customers that refer random customers, and the type of ones that refer of the same type, because that's what you want. You want to work with the same type of client over and over. Also, think about what customers thank you for the work. You know, a lot of our work goes underappreciated sometimes, right? Which ones fulfill your purpose? Which ones are the ones that, by extension of you helping them, you help them fulfill their purpose? And them fulfilling their purpose and fulfilling their customer's purpose kind of like has a domino effect and helps you fulfill yours. Okay. And finally, the type of customers that will make your brand or your practice marketable for either selling it or to attract talented employees. You and I know, every single person watching this, that's the hardest thing to get, getting high quality employees. I'm going to talk about the homework. Now, this is the stuff that I would love for you to do as take it as an action item, something you're going to do on your own. Okay, on your own. So you can put this in play. Number one, I want you to find inspiration. List the top 3 customers you enjoyed working with and elaborate why. 2, list the top 3 customers that have been easiest in terms of amount of work, amount of effort for you to work with. Now, maybe some of these will cross. Don't worry about it if they do. They don't have to cross. They don't have to be different. Just list them out in different buckets. 3, list your top 3 specialty. What are these special skills, technical things you do specially well that people thank you for, that people identify as, wow, you're good at that, okay? Or something you would brag to a colleague as your specialty, right? So you could brag to a customer that you're great at finding tax deductions, to a colleague that would be like, yeah, big deal, we all do, right? So what are the 3 specialties that you would brag to a colleague about, or you want your colleague to refer you because it's something that they don't do as well as you do? Describe 3 situations where you had a quick win with a customer. Something that you did quick, it was a win, it was instantly valuable, it was low effort, and the client thanked you for it. Then list any relationships and commonalities between all those things above. Again, you can post them in a post-it note on your wall, and then kind of like try to see if you can find the pattern on them. Then describe your purpose or your why, and build a 1-page backstory that explains what your backstory is, your purpose is. And then once you write that down, you'll be able to then connect one of those particular types of clients with that story. And if you can do that, that will help you get closer to that. Okay. And again, you're going to describe how these positive interactions with all these customers connect with your purpose and why. And that's it. That's the homework that I want you to do. Take a picture of this slide, download the slide, print it. You want to do this on your own and maybe you want to get with a colleague, with a friend, with a teammate, and say, hey, this is what I have. What do you think? This is best if you get feedback with a couple of people, or maybe some private coaching from someone that can help you, a coach or something like that. But that's kind of the homework. Part one, the homework that I would like for you to do to make everything in here actionable.